Whole Foods challenges suppliers to make unique products that shoppers simply can't find anywhere. And we're delivering to this challenge.
All right, so welcome to another episode of the Barron Report. Now, this is where we talk about all things innovation in the restaurant and the food business. And with food comes one amazing thing, and that is wine. And today I've got a great, amazing guest with me, and that is Georgos Zanganas. And he is the founder and president of Georgos Wine. And welcome to the show, Georgos.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah. When we got a chance to look at your wine in research for the show, obviously there was some great story that we'll get into. But before we get started, I want to learn a little bit about you. Kind of how did you get in the wine business? You know, how did you come to America? What's your backstory?
First, I'm an outsider in the wine industry. I did not study winemaking. I'm an engineer. My winemaker, though, has crafted many award-winning wines over here, and it took us 6 months to perfect our recipes. Georgos Wine was born out of a personal need, I would call it. I enjoy drinking wine, but when I moved here, I started to experience that after having a glass or two of wine here, I had a headache, and I did not experience the symptoms when I was in Greece.
Interesting. Okay. So that was kind of the genesis of getting started. When you came to the United States, was winemaking kind of on your mission all along? Is that what you wanted to do when you came here?
Absolutely not. I was just, I like drinking wine and I enjoyed drinking wine. At the same time, when I experienced the symptoms that I just described to you, I could not find any Greek wines in San Francisco. Unless I went to a Greek restaurant or drove an hour to a remote place to find Greek wines, which is, by the way, did not meet my standards in terms of Greek wines are beautiful, they're very healthy, but I like them to be more smooth. So they were not as smooth as the local wines.
Interesting. Okay.
I said to myself, why can I find Greek olives, Greek yogurt here, but not Greek wines? Greek wines bring all this goodness together. So I set about making ultra premium Greek wines, which are delicious and healthier in America. Our motto is we believe in healthier wine.
Beautiful. I like it. Well, we're going to get into that. And one of my first questions here is really kind of talking about customers. So, customers today, they're looking for stories behind their products, including their wine. Where does it come from? In your case, what kind of grapes and what chemicals, if any, are used? They want that backstory of the product itself. So I love the fact that you kind of brought this product out in the genesis of necessity. I'm kind of curious. What are the types of grapes? What's the process of making a great Greek wine?
First of all, that's a great question. I should tell you that we use 100% non-GMO grapes, and Georgos Wine has low sulfites and sustainable grapes. We don't do any technical manipulation for added color or the taste of the wine. Our focus is the consumer who stopped drinking wine because they experience headaches and allergic reactions.
Okay.
Moreover, consumers who follow a Mediterranean healthy diet know that the Mediterranean diet is a triad of olive oil, bread, and wine. So we bring the wine into the market, the Greek wine. Greek wine has a history of dry farm vineyards and a different terroir. And Sonoma is the mecca of of the American wine region. I thought of bringing both of these words together will be great.
Yeah.
We make 5 wines, and we have a variety of indigenous Greek varietals.
Okay.
And we blend these wines. So we have the St. George grape primarily, which is an indigenous Greek grape. And we make 5 wines. We make a Cabernet, a red blend, a light red, which is like a Pinot Noir here.
Okay.
We make a dry rosé, which is from the Greek Pinot grape,
Yep.
and a dry white wine. All of them, the consumer can find at Whole Foods in Northern California and direct online on our website, which is georgoswine.com.
Sure. Now, a note here on the concept of new Greek wine. What does that mean?
Another great question. New Greek wine is a winemaking technique, which is it's a unique way of making wine, and it's rooted in Greece. As you know, winemaking in Greece dates back thousands of years. So for some people, a glass of red wine is an invitation to a roaring headache. They think they are allergic to wine or the sulfite in the wine, when what really affects them is the histamines in red wine.
Yep.
So in essence, yeast, yeast, both native and pure strain varieties, eat the sugar in the grapes and turn it into alcohol and all these wonderful wine flavors. With our wines, we triple hand sort all of our grapes to remove anything that you wouldn't feed to a baby. This reduces the toxins and the bacteria. Then, by keeping a clean fermentation environment, and we monitor, of course, the yeast for stress, as yeast multiply, we regularly feed them organic yeast food and supply them with oxygen to keep them from growing happily. I should have had my winemaker over here, I guess. But reduce histamines, reduce the likelihood of experiencing a headache.
I got it. Okay, so that was my next question. Was the differentiation in your wine? What was it that definitely separates you guys in terms of how you can make wine that doesn't affect you in terms of a headache? So that's perfect. So there's some science behind this. So that in itself, I'm kind of curious. When you look at, obviously, you guys are being sold in Whole Foods and online, as you mentioned. Which kind of brings that to a point before I get into some other questions. What does the partnering with Whole Foods do for your brands? How does the customers look at you being Georgos Wine as a Whole Foods partner? Do they look at that? Hey, this is super high quality. What's been the element there that you've kind of discovered?
We want consumers to have access to ultra premium Greek wines everywhere, and not to travel 1 hour or to go to a Greek restaurant. Whole Foods is everywhere. Right. And Whole Foods is America's healthiest grocery store. We make the healthiest Greek wine. So Whole Foods challenges suppliers to make unique products that shoppers simply can't find anywhere. And we're delivering to this challenge. So accessibility is very important for us. So when you can find a Greek yogurt and other wonderful Greek products, what's missing right now is the Greek wine, and we bring that to the market.
So really a good match for you guys, especially with what you're doing there in terms of the quality level of Greek wines, which you're right. When you look in the lines of many of the wine purveyors, I know whether it's retail or even in restaurants and operators today, you don't often see Greek wines. So this is a great addition, and I've had Greek wine before, and in many cases it does have kind of a very unique profile to it in terms of taste. So, which is great. I think a lot of consumers and also operators are looking at trying to build their wine list. How have kind of curious, how have consumers reacted to the lower alcohol content of your wines? Is it actually lower alcohol content? What do you say to that?
Customers love alternatives, and they love new flavors, and also love lower alcohol wines, and they go out of their way to find. 3 of our wines, which is the Mykonos, Eos, and Santorini, are hovering around 12% or less on the alcohol, the ABV. Corfu, which is the Bordeaux blend, and Ithaca, which is the Cab, is around 13 to 14%. They're not low, they're not very high, but they're very smooth. So we cater to both. We try to cater to both. And but the only what I can say is all of our wines are very smooth. If it is lower or a little bit higher on the alcohol volume.
So you're saying that consumers really like the flavor variations, and the lower alcohol content really is kind of a byproduct. It's just something that they're looking for in terms of a Greek wine is a Greek wine in itself. Its flavor profile, the uniqueness of it itself, rather than buying it just because the byproduct is you get less of a headache.
That's correct, but we experience again and again with direct feedback from consumers that they have stopped drinking wines because they experience headaches.
Interesting.
And then what I explained earlier about our unique winemaking process to reduce the histamines in the wine is very important to us.
Yeah.
And customers relate with this, and they buy our product, they buy our wines because they want to have a better experience.
Sure. So obviously, taste profile is huge in terms of wine in general, especially when you look at something like a Greek wine, which has such a unique flavor itself, especially if you're used to drinking American wines, mostly Northern California wines or Oregon wines. How do you grow Greek grapes in California? What's the process there? Do the atmospheres and things like that compare in Sonoma area to what you have back in Greece?
Very, very good question. So it might be a misunderstanding over here. We don't grow Greek grapes in Sonoma. So what we do is our vineyards are in Greece. We press the wine and then we bring it across the ocean in a stable form by boat. Once it arrives here, the red wines are blended with local fruit. The white and the rosé, we perfect the wine over here by filtering it and make a few little adjustments, and then we bottle it directly.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's how it's core indigenous Greek wine, which is great. Okay. So with that process, when you're looking at, because we are seeing so many beverage makers, winemakers, international food suppliers, et cetera, that are coming to the U.S. and now bringing some of these international flavors to the U.S. markets. Do you find that approach is one that you guys feel you can scale to where you can start offering this product in larger distribution points?
Yes, that is exactly what we think. And Greek wines, European wines, or Greek wines in general, are amazing food wines. Greek wines are very original. We have almost 300 indigenous Greek varietals in Greece, which is we bring some over here to California to make our unique wines. And they have an old world structure with great acidity. And they are lighter and do not resemble any other wine. Plus, of course, we have the benefits of our new winemaking.
Yeah, the process itself. Your thoughts on rosé? Yeah, we're seeing some movement there on how consumers are kind of, adapting to rosés or starting to request rosés more and more. Is that something you're seeing with even your product line?
Yes, this is what we see. People, consumers, tend to shy away from rosé because they think they have experience with sweeter type of wine versus what we bring to market. It's something that has lower alcohol volume, 11.8. It's hovering, as I said, around 12%. Plus, it's dry. It's not as sweet.
Okay. Well, I know I've kind of rediscovered rosés, and I can't wait to try one of yours now. All right, so you guys are there in Sonoma, the Sonoma area. What? Obviously, this podcast is taking place during or right after the fires that have kind of. Did that impact your vineyard or your winemaking facility?
Yes. It has. The hard part, it's now because we just start assessing the damage. We don't lose anyone, and the winery was not impacted. But and I was in a constant communication with my winemaker. We are located in Kenwood, which is in the heart of Sonoma Valley, where people lost houses, wineries, and vineyards.
Wow.
There will be definitely an impact, but I don't have a crystal ball to tell you what it is. One thing I can tell you is about supply and demand.
Yeah.
We'll see how that's going to play out.
I've seen some friends of mine who are in the area and are winemakers. They've talked more about the infrastructure being hit pretty significantly. Just the surrounding infrastructure itself to the vineyards, which could cause some hardships there. So
one thing is for sure that more business will be chasing fewer suppliers.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so love what you guys are doing, and I definitely think there's such a uniqueness in this lower alcohol content for wines in general, especially if you can still maintain the great flavors, and which it is clear that you guys can, with what you're doing with your formulations. A little bit about just your company in general and some of the groups you're supporting. You had mentioned kind of an approach toward alcohol and addiction research. Tell us a little bit about that connection.
I like philanthropy. I have done philanthropy everywhere I lived. And then I strongly believe that giving back to society, it's very important because I have been privileged in life with a good living, with a great education, to give back to society. I personally believe that medical science is where philanthropy can have a lot of success. Currently, we are contributing a part of our sales to UCSF to do medical research. We support scientific research to develop a new and effective treatments in addiction research. And I ask everyone not only to contribute by buying Georgos wine, but also directly to UCSF or to any other nonprofit organization. Contribution is not only, of course, in the form of money, but also time. Becoming a volunteer is very important to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it when companies kind of walk the walk, especially in the areas that their business is, participating in, where you can get out there and, kind of do things to help not only society, but in general, I think just mankind. It's a great movement that you guys are in and behind. So thank you so much for doing that. Well, Georgos, it's been fun talking with you today. If someone wanted to get your wine today, Whole Foods Northern California, your website is how soon will you see your product start to make its way into other states?
Within the end of the year or first quarter of 2018, we're going to be in Southern California. And then once Southern California is a very important market for us. And then, of course, they can buy online where we have very good prices and a very good selection of wine clubs.
Yeah. Wine clubs are great. I've participated in several of them now. Seems to be an ongoing trend, too, that we're starting to see more and more people do with either direct vineyard to consumer, when you're going B2C like that. But this is great. I'm glad. I can't wait to try some of your wines, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. Thanks so much for stopping in on today's podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right. For all you listeners, of course, make sure and check out other shows right here on Foodable Network. We've got some amazing podcasts that are coming online at the end of the year and beginning next year. So be looking out for those on our show page. If you have not had a chance to check out Front of House, which is our marketing show, also a podcast, or also Fast Casual Nation. Recently, we released Fast Casual Nation, which is a new documentary on Amazon Prime Video. So if you're a Prime Video member, you'll be able to get to that documentary right there. Make sure and Check us out on the next episode of the Barron Report right here. We'll catch you next time.